I can't even tell you how comfortable I am at this temperature. I'm serious. You know, we had our first office. It was a small space, not much over 1,200 square feet. 600 square feet of it was in one meeting room. And the entire back of it had floor to ceiling afternoon exposure windows. And we moved in the fall, so it didn't really register on us that the air conditioning unit barely functioned. And so we had one of those hot spells. We don't get a lot of them in California. It doesn't say extended like it would here in Orlando. But we got one of those hot spells where it was above 100 degrees and was going to stay there for a few days. And I remember really worried about it. I remember standing in a chair and I kind of mashed my face against the air conditioning vent, and I felt a little trickle of cool air coming down that afternoon, and I knew we were going to have a full house. We were jamming 80 and 90 people into 600 square feet. And so it was going to be warm either way. But now we had this heat, 100 plus degrees outside, 105 kind of thing, the afternoon exposure, and people got in there and it was sweltering. I mean, it's not even an aisle in the thing. People just packed in, and people fanning themselves, and people flushed, and I'm thinking, boy, when I finish this presentation and say amen, they are going to disappear through the door, you know, almost, it's kind of like turning on a light in a kitchen with cockroaches, right? And just, pew, they go like that. You don't know where they go, they're gone. And I'm thinking it's going to be just like that. And I said, amen, thank you. I say, amen, they're going to disappear. And I finished that meeting, and you guys, we never recruited a higher percentage in our career than that stretch when we had that office during that summer. You know, but I still felt bad about it. I mean, literally, I'd feel sweat running down the back into my underwear, down the back of my shirt, and I'd lose about 6 or 7 pounds every meeting. I'm not exaggerating, that's how bad it was. And then a space opened up on the opposite side of the building, which was shaded, where they said, you can use this meeting space until we figure out what to do with the air conditioning unit, which they never did figure out. And we went over there, we had more space, they weren't jammed in, it stayed cool, and we never got the same percentage. It doesn't even make sense, does it? People are uncomfortable. We put this big fan up. This is before quiet fans. So it's kind of like an airplane was sitting on top of this table, blowing wind on them, and you know, and we just recruited and recruited and recruited and recruited. Comfort is overrated, you guys. You know, if your whole drive is to be more comfortable. Now, if you've got a medical condition and the heat is making it bad, I understand. Maybe you could sit a chair right out there. It goes up about 25, 30 degrees from that spot to this spot, but I feel very comfortable right now. And something about my sweat glands, they kind of broke or something, because I got more and more comfortable in that heat, and I sweated less and less. And now, you see, I'm dry, and I'll stay dry the entire meeting. And I didn't put a bunch of antiperspirant on my face before I came in here. It's just something, I just don't worry about it anymore. And one thing you learn in athletics, I remember when I played tennis in college, you're out in the court, it's 100 and some degrees, and it's, you know, understand, when you're out in that asphalt, it gets hot, and you're playing a 3-set match, you don't have a chance to go, well, somebody turn on the air conditioner. Coach, he's making me run too much. That's the thing I love about people from the military, people from organized athletics. There's no sense of entitlement in that group. Everybody expects to have to pay the price because that's all they've known. You know, if you're a football player, you know the guy in the other colored jersey is trying to hit you so hard upside the head, you're going to be looking through the ear hole of your helmet. That's his job. Your job is to do it to him before he does it to you. And there's an element of that kind of mental toughness that we've got to embrace. But again, like I talked about last night, a little bit of the employee mentality, we want our air conditioning thing, we want our space, and we even expect the stuff we're using to be bought for us. I remember when someone braced me, she was an employee from Lockheed. She says, I hear you're making a lot of money. How come you charge $1 for these audio tapes? I said, because it cost me about $1.30 to generate them. She said, why don't you just give them to us? I said, well, that's a legitimate question. Let me ask myself. Oh yeah, because it cost me $1.30 and I'm giving it to you for $1, right? And everybody's got to pull their own little red wagon, all right? We're in business here, and I'm doing everything I can to contribute to advancing your career, but you're not at Lockheed anymore. You have unlimited opportunity. You don't want unlimited opportunity, then that's great. Give me your commissions, I'll give you the tape. But if you want the opportunity, you want the upside, you got to understand in business, you got to embrace the fact you got to assume responsibility for this stuff. We lighten the load. I'm not charging you for the office, and I'm not charging $1.30 for the tape. But this is all part of the crash course we all go through, right, when we get into this game. And allow me to get into my talk. You know, as entrepreneurs, one of the things that we have a chance to do is to take control. You know, I love listening to Fredo and the things she was talking about, the money, the accolades, all these things are great, but it's extraordinary to watch this process of transformation in our families that ripples out through the generations. They look at it a different way. My youngest son sat down with me not too long ago and said, Dad, I want to talk to you. He says, one of the things I was most worried about when you were sick last year is that you hadn't passed on a bunch of stuff I wanted to know, and it's kind of increased my urgency, and I'm not taking as much for granted. And so we're sitting outside on our pool deck looking out over the Santa Clara County, Silicon Valley, and he said, Dad, I want to talk to you. How do you get to be a billionaire? How many sons ask their fathers that question? I said, son, not many questions turn me on outside of the questions your mom asks me sometimes. But that one kind of turns me on. That's a subject I want to discuss with my children. It's just a good thing. See, the thing about being an entrepreneur and the emotional muscles and mental muscles that we develop inside of us in this gymnasium of accountability and responsibility and of performance is we begin to grow in ways that is hard to anticipate. Certainly I didn't anticipate it. And all of a sudden you start looking at the world differently. Really looking at it differently. And you end up with a completely different life. You end up with completely different opportunities in your life. You know, Jeff goes to Africa and he looks at the astounding poverty and the challenges that are there. You know, I was, we're getting involved with Mothers Without Borders, and a number of people young people from our congregation are going to Zambia over this summer to help out there. And I went over to someone's home that's involved with it that has a manual drill for drilling wells. A manual drill, needs no power. And they drill a well in about 4 days using the people in the village. It's an astounding little piece of equipment. And it costs about $25,000 to generate one in its entirety. And I wanted to look at it, and I want to get an additional drill for them. Because drilling wells in a village where they can get clean water changes life there. But Jeff went there and he looked at what are mountainous issues, and I promise you, he looked at them differently than most people. Why? Because he's built a company, he's built a business, he's moved his life and his mentality and his performance, and all of that of the past sits there in him in the present, and he looks at something and he thinks, I can make a difference here. He might not have all the resources he needs at that point, and it'll be a never-ending process of giving, but the reality is he looks at it in the terms of, I can do this. Just like he looks at you, and he thinks about what needs to be done and what will be done in the East Coast, and what will be done in the hierarchy, and where you're going, right? You're about to become a $100 million hierarchy. But understand, I believe with all my heart, we'll be having a conversation one day about you guys being a $1 billion hierarchy. All of that is part of your reality and part of your future. If you decide to embrace these things, that you're being talked about from this stage and from the other stages in the workshops in your life in the months and years ahead. Come on this expedition, this transformative journey that is more than just a theme for the weekend for this event. Far more. So you end up with a completely different perspective on life. So my son, youngest son's a letterman tent to play golf at San Jose State. I go sit down with a golf coach in his office, a little thing, and it's stacked with stuff. And I go, my gosh, I'll lease you space so we have room next time for me to sit down. Where do you guys practice? Well, we go to Muni. Well, the Muni driving range has those rock balls, and some of them are smooth, and they're hitting off mats. And I go, seriously, we don't have a practice facility? You know, and we started talking about what could happen. Well, this place doesn't have much resource. It's harder than heck to get anything built here. If you do, it costs 2 and 3 times what it should cost, because the state of California procedures are so onerous and so stupid, so incredibly stupid. And of course, I don't talk like this in front of them. I talk even more forcefully than I'm talking to you, you know, and it's so ridiculous, you know, and he goes, and everybody's just fatigued around there, you know. Well, it took us 4 years and all the way going through the chancellor's office to teach them how to do a public-private partnership, and then we built a practice facility for about 1/3 of what they said it was going to cost, and we built it in less than a year, and they said it would take 3 years, and the reality is amazing when you look at it from the standpoint of an entrepreneur, and you think, hey, we can do this. Everybody else in that room, in the first meeting we had about that, thought it was impossible. Everybody, I promise you. I was the only person that knew we were going to do it. And step by step by step, you understand the law of attraction. You understand all you need is one person with belief and conviction can change the world. That's you too. You can change the world for your family and future generations. You can change the world for the people you come into contact, and it just goes on and on. Our friend, Gordon De Leon, who invited us to our first BPM, who sold us our first life insurance policy, a little term insurance policy, and he set up our first savings plan. And it was $11.59 is what we had left over, the $25 we said we could do. And so the rest of it went toward the insurance policy, a level policy for 12 years, and then we had this $11.59 left over. Such a nonsensical amount, so tiny. 4 months later, we made one of the most important decisions we ever made in our lifetime. It may have been the most important economic decision of our lifetime. I'm looking at the little stupid statement saying we had a little bit more than $44. You know what I'm saying, 46, 47. And I knew with interest, we'd be at $48 at any time. And my thought was, the all-American thought, why are we bothering? Right? And I looked at $48, and back then you could have a really nice night out in San Francisco and a dinner with your wife or husband for $48. And I thought about cashing it in and surprising Cindy around her birthday with that $48 because things were that tight for us. And then I thought the next thought, which changed our lives, and I thought, no, we need to save more money. And I sat down with Cindy because, see, that part-timer, a guy who was only in business 8 months, had taught us a little bit about compound interest and the time value of money and the effective interest rate over this time with a little bit of tax advantage, that something would accumulate far beyond what you ever thought. And I was 28 years old, and I thought, well, what if we put in $25? And Cindy and I talked about it, and we squeezed here and squeezed there, and she stopped buying magazines, and we started putting $25 a month in there. That's a silly amount too. But I knew in my head it was going to compound into something. You guys, the key is a part-timer, a high school music teacher, a guy who's only in business for a stretch of a few months. I was one of only 3 recruits he got. I was one of a handful of clients that he got before he left the business. But because he taught me that truth, and it was the kind of truth that economically sets you free, it completely changed our lives. And all of a sudden, we started building a habit. You see, the problem with most of us is our bad habits. If you replace it with another habit, even though it starts small, it builds. And so all of a sudden we got more excited about it, and all of a sudden then we started part-time a couple of months later. Then we started making a little bit more money, and so we jumped it to 100. Then we started making more money, we jumped to that. And we started saving everything. Once we paid off some debt, you see, people, I love the introduction. Thank you for that wonderful introduction about how visionary I was when I started in the business back in July of 80, and we submitted our MA. My vision was to pay off our Visa card and get a couch. That was my vision, right? It wasn't about changing thousands of lives. We wanted a couch. My mom had given me a beanbag chair when I went to college, and that was my furniture. And we have friends over, and all you got is a beanbag chair. That doesn't do a lot, right? Actually can do too much. You end up all over each other. But the reality is, then the cat, we had a cat for one, and it started going pee in it. So now it is a beanbag chair. It smelled like cat pee, and it was our furniture. So we wanted a couch. That was Cindy's chant. It wasn't what Lee loved to recruit. I'm a great recruiter. It was, we want a couch. We want a couch. Mine was pay off the Visa card, pay off the Visa card. It had been with me at the present level for about 5 years, and I wanted that to go away. And so we hoped to make, back then, $1,800. That was our vision. $1,000 for the Visa card, $800 for the couch love seat we had picked out. That was our vision. It all starts simple, you guys, for most of us. And then you go on to the next thing, and then the next thing. But the reality was, because of that simple instruction, and we started generating more and more income, we saved it, and we saved it, and we saved it. And a little less than 2.5 years later, Cindy walked into my little office, 125 square foot office in that little 1,200 square foot space that we had, and she had that money market statement in her hand, and she said, look, and put it down. She came up beside me, and we looked at it, and we had $1,021,000 in savings. It started at $11.59. Then it went to $25. Then it went to $100. Then $250. Then $500. But lo and behold, we had controlled our expenses. We hadn't started buying a bunch of stuff. We had the same cars. We were living in the same place. I found out later there were teammates that thought we knew something about that company that they didn't, that it wasn't going to make it, and we knew it. And we were just saving all the money we could before the thing went upside down, all because we weren't blowing it. See, that's the problem. Most people think winning and demonstrating winning is about being ostentatious. You just can't stop yourself. I watched so many good people starting this business, and they start rolling, they start making money, and then they start making the grand mistake. They start looking around. Social media has just multiplied this. And you start comparing yourself to everybody. And everybody's doing this and doing that and going here and going there and buying this and driving around in this car and driving around in that car. I know a guy who takes pictures of himself in his car, you know, a young guy, idiot, and he's wearing a Rolex, and he's driving his Ferrari, and he's telling everybody what a winner he is, right? And you can hardly find him on a leader's bulletin. He's spending everything he's got on Showboat. Showboat's coming. That's a movie. Actually, it should be Dumbass is coming. You don't win financially by spending money. You win by not spending it. We've never had a showy office, not in our career. Because my goal is not to make my landlord wealthy. My goal is to change the destiny of my family for generations. And have resources to give, to impact, and minister the lives of others, right? Yes? Say yes. All right. I better get back to the presentation that I had here. So I was thinking about this last night, Jeff, and I thought, what are the gifts of transformation? What are the gifts of transformation? And there's so many. I mean, literally, you could put hundreds, and if you really thought long enough, thousands of things down. And so I get the first one that people think about, lots of people think about, out of the way. Sure, there are financial rewards. And I'm not going to downplay it. we are exhilarated not to be poor anymore. But at the same time, if we were poor back in the mobile home that I moved my wife into when we were married, we were happy there, and we could be happy back there again. Now, I'd have to train myself not to get out of bed too fast and hit that wall, because it was right there, right? But and I had to get used to having that. See, the back of the mobile home was 25 feet. And when Cindy got done with her dad helping us move her in, I had this much space in the closet in the right-hand bedroom. She filled from there to there and from there to there. And he stuck his hand out with a twinkle in his eye and said, "It's all yours now," right? And I knew what he meant. You know what else is fun? Being recognized. When you go your entire life, like most of us have, without much recognition, it feels good to get some recognition. But you know, one of the big ones for me is control. Control. Not control of other people's lives, but being able to get behind the wheel instead of sitting somewhere in the bus with other people driving for you, going wherever they go, however they go there. I like control of time. I like control of income. I like control of my associations. Because one of the things that's a dream is to be in business with you. You understand how much fun it is for us in leadership to circulate among you guys? You're all so nice to us. I mean, you are. Can I take a picture with you? Understand, I have not been asked that question one time where there's that little voice in the back of my head that goes, "Why in the world does anybody want a picture with me?" Right? If you have the picture, it's not any more valuable with me in it. If you try and sell it, it won't sell for nothing. You understand that? We are not celebrities, but for some reason you still like doing that. And I appreciate that it means something to you. Well, thank you. Yes, catch me afterwards. All right, settle down. And so, you know, as we look at these things, we end up getting treated that way. You know, and if you're a good man like Jeff, it doesn't go to your head. You kind of get what a privilege it is, what it really means. When you take a guy with his kind of servant leadership character and his wife, every bit his measure. It is so much fun to be associated with you. We run out of words. We end up moving our hands a lot. We end up pausing, struggling for the words. But you want to be here. You're sitting here sweating with us together, you know? And we're talking about winning and thinking about winning. And like I said last night again, trying to create an environment whereby you stop and think about who you are, who you want to become, and are you willing to pay the price to get there? And we hope in this environment this week that we facilitated that for some of you, and that your life will truly transform. But one of the other gifts is increased confidence, people skills, friendships, and most importantly, strengthened character. If you're going to do this really the way you got to do it, to build leaders, you got to live the giving principle. The giving principle is so good for our souls. It just strengthens us and strengthens us and strengthens us. And as you watch people struggle and go through trials, and some of them quit, and some of them make it, it's almost like a chemical change in you, where all of a sudden you just develop so much more compassion, so much more empathy, so much more appreciation. Isn't that right, Jeff? I mean, just talk about transformation. Think about who we were as young men, kind of thinking the world, or wishing the world would revolve around us, you know, to where we are today, where we hardly think about it. And we thank you for that. Another great spiritual mentor of ours said this: character is the one thing. Character is the one thing we make in this world that we can take with us to the next. And that's a powerful statement. Is the one thing in this world, right, that we make in it that we can take to the next. You're not going to take your money. You're not going to take your house. You're not going to take your clothes. You're not going to take your watch or your jewelry. You're not going to take any of those things. But you do get to take the character you build, the vision you develop, the confidence you develop, you get to take that to the next. So I like the fact that I get to work a lot of the same muscles in our business that I do in my church labors. Cindy and I have appreciated that from the beginning. Now, I'm going to shift gears with you. Let's talk about something. We live, and I talked a little bit about this, we live in an era of mediocrity. That doesn't mean everything's mediocre. I'm not a doom and gloom guy. I'm not one of those pundits on TV. See, when I was born and was growing up as a boy back in the 50s, right? I was born in 52, and the news was on for 15 minutes. It was when I was a boy that they expanded it to a half hour. And I remember my parents commenting, that's a lot of news, right? Had to listen to it for a half hour. Prior to that, like during World War II, you went to the movie theater and there were news reels, right? Because people didn't have TVs. But that all started to happen. Now, of course, we have news 24 hours a day on multiple channels. They repeat it, and 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 they repeat it. And if you're not wise, you will sit there and listen to a bunch of it, and it's hard to have much hope for the future, isn't it? All right? Because they found out that bad news is twice around the world before good news gets up in the morning. Right? And so they just pour the bad news out. Not the great things that are happening, not the wonderful things people are doing. And they've also found out that if they take a certain viewpoint and hate the other side, all those people, right, that agree with them will watch them. The other side figured out the opposite, right? And so everybody's hating on everybody. You know what? Let me talk to you about something that turns me on about WFG. You look around the room, do we all look the same? We sure don't. You come to the convention in Las Vegas, now there'll be 25, 30,000 people there. They all look the same. So we've got so much diversity in this company, people are shocked by it. They come in the room and says, this is the United Nations. I said, it is, only we don't fight. We don't need a Security Council. I mean, think about that. Think about what that means for all of us. Think about what that really means. I believe this is who we really are. The overwhelming majority of people are good people. They want to love and be loved. They want to respect and be respected. They want to appreciate and be appreciated. That's what I've found in all my experience in the almost 66 years of our life. You know, I went to elementary school, Northern California, Wright School. My parents didn't have much, so it was kind of on the wrong side of the tracks. And ended up with three best friends. One of them was Joe Galimba. He was Filipino. The other one was Anthony Castel del Oro. He, of course, was Chinese. I'm kidding. His family's directly from Mexico. Right? He had been born there. And then Harold Berry, who's a great human being and the fastest runner in our school. And so I had an Asian friend, a Mexican friend, and a black friend. And we were the four musketeers. And you know what? None of us thought of our differences. We all thought about how we got along. We liked the same stuff, and we laughed at the same stuff, and we thought the same girls are pretty, and the same teacher was mean, and all that. And we hung out, and we got on just fine. And that's what I grew up with. You know, I didn't have a white friend until high school, right? John Reeves, my other best friend there was Chinese. I had to prepare for the future of our hierarchy. And Carl Wenho Kopp. And we look at our company, and we've got this wonderful equality. We don't need to squabble with each other about what our gender is. We don't squabble with each other about what our race is. We don't squabble with each other about what our faith is. We say, look here. If you do this, you're an associate. If you do this, you're a senior associate. If you do this, you're a marketing director. And when you do this, we're going to promote you to SMD. Then when you make $100,000, we're going to give you a ring. We give you a watch at 50, but I'm not going to talk much about that, right? With the ring. And then when you do this, you're an EMD. When you do this, you're a CEO. None of the rest of it matters. Our hashtag #MeToo means we all get to win. It's a different game. I express myself what I think about people who abuse women, right? And some of you were shocked by that I think they should be shot. But I just put it in the terms of, right, my own wife, my daughter, my granddaughters. And I could get my empty the clip mode on in a hurry if someone were to try and hurt one of them, right? But I love the fact that women have the same opportunity as men. We don't even have to discuss it, right? We got so many women in leadership making so much money, right? And Penny Oy came to me and says, so-and-so's making more money than I am. And I'll go, get wider, right? Let's build a few more legs and we solve that problem like that. And who's in charge of that? She is. I mean, this is a very cool thing. And we take the ceiling off. And we don't charge you much for it because we don't make money off of you that way. We all make money when we go out and help somebody. You know, one of the things I've said to people, I said, well, I just don't want to be taken advantage of. I said, at what point do I get to take advantage of you? Right? You're going to do a $100 admin fee, which goes to the company. I'm paying for the office. I'm keeping the lights on. We're providing all the materials. We'll do the meeting for you. None of this is going to cost you anything. Come on in. Let's see if we can get going. You're going to have to pay for your license, but it's your license. You don't like it here, you can take it somewhere else. Right? So right now, right here, I'm not asking for anything from you. Not a dang thing. And I'm not going to. You know what? If this is a con job, we're pretty stupid con men. You know that? Because all I'm going to do is lose money on you for the next couple of months till you get a license and we get you going. And we know a certain percentage of you might be one of them that quits. Right? But that's okay. We're going to believe in the next person and the next person till we find somebody who starts believing in themselves. And I love this thing. I love it. We can't even figure out a way to take advantage of you. And frankly, we're not going to try. So this is real opportunity. I hope you're taking notes on some of this stuff, not just staring at me fascinated, right, about these things. You see, did you notice in the AMA we asked if you were a Democrat? Do you notice we asked if you were a Republican? Did we ask if you were an independent? We didn't, did we? Because we don't care. It's got nothing to do with nothing. You vote how you want to vote. Let's go help somebody. Let's go build our next teammate. Let's go do the next meeting to see if we can improve the world. Right? I just want good people like you blessed with resources. I want good people like you blessed with increased leadership skill. I want good people like you blessed with increased confidence. I want people like you blessed with an increased vision for what's possible for you and the people that you love. And then when you get that to a certain point, you begin to expand that vision outside of that immediate circle and reach out into the lives of others. It's a wonderful thing. I love this environment. It's all about being good, honorable, decent people. And how cool is that? Has it cooled down or has it gotten warmer? It feels cooler to me now. I'm doing fine. I know I'm sweating a little bit, so I may be out of practice a little bit, but I love our company and I love you. And I mean it. And you can feel that I mean it. Wow. I get excited talking about that. I'm glad I don't need blood pressure medicine or anything yet, right? But I'm going to ask you something. When you think about mediocrity and you think how it's all around you, and you think about how when you start to try and separate yourself from that, there are people that are going to try and do this. You got to work real hard not to take that personally. But if you are here today, right now, and you have not made up your mind to leave that behind, or you'd kind of made up your mind, but you've lost a little bit of your resolve, please, fight that stuff. Gravity pulls on you. We're trying to show you how to escape the power of gravity in this context. And mediocrity has a real gravitational pull. It's easier. It takes less effort. Most people are doing it. Most people support you in being mediocre. Might be your own family. My father took me aside once early on. He saw how hard we were working around the clock, 6 days a week, pouring it on. And he just was a little concerned for his son and his daughter-in-law. And he had to talk to me about it. And I had to talk with him back about it. And it was a watershed moment in our father-son relationship. And it was a good one. And he understood a little better what we were doing and where we were headed. But he'd never witnessed anything like that. He hadn't seen that kind of transformation. Right? My dad was somebody who starved with his brother and his sister and his single mom in the Depression. And so having a job and getting by was a win. He resolved he wanted to save $200,000. And when he died at almost 92 years old, guess what he had? $200,000. But by the time he died, that wasn't very much. And had we not built what we built, and I knew back when I was 19 or 20 years old that I was probably going to have to take care of my parents. And I'm thank my Father in heaven for giving me that understanding, that inspiration, so we could prepare to be their safety net. In their later years, they didn't have to worry about those kinds of things. Now I'm going to shift gears. I'm going to talk to you about not being a victim. Right? We have a victim culture. It's part of mediocrity. It's all about what are you going to do for me? What are you going to do for me? Who's going to take care of me? As long as you stay there, you can't be powerful. Remember I said to you something many of you heard before. You can be pitiful or you can be powerful, but you can't be both at the same time. You have got to make a choice. As an entrepreneur, you have to choose powerful. It's the only way it'll get you off the ground. You cannot escape the gravitational pull of mediocrity unless you make that decision. And so we got all kinds of things. I wrote some of them down last night. I went and sat down. I was kind of inspired thinking about this last night, and I wrote some things down. Jeff, I'm fired up to be here with you guys. You know, it'd been a while since I looked forward to an event like I'd look forward to this. I was looking forward more to this than I am to going to Las Vegas, right? Because crap, none of us had anything to do with that agenda, right? We're just showing up. It's great. It's awesome. Viva la corporation. That's okay. We are on our way to correcting some of this stuff. All right, so I wrote down some things that I've heard before, right? As to why they're not winning, why you don't have more momentum, why you aren't making it happen, why you're struggling, why you wonder or doubt or fear and all that stuff. And so you say something like, my family was broke, right? This is why I'm struggling, right? My family is broke, or I am broke, or I is broke, or whatever it is, right? My parents are divorced. No, wait, I'm divorced, right? Nobody will marry me, so you can't even get divorced. It's a heck of a thing. I didn't go to college. Or I went to college, but it wasn't a good college, right? I went to Poor Kids University. That's San Jose State, but I met my girl there, right? And I love to get Stanford and Cal. Those are the two big schools in Northern California. University of California, Berkeley, right? Where all the squirrels go to school and teach, right? And then Stanford, where they're all so pumped up. I was on a bus ride in Colorado, and Stanford had played Colorado in football, and there were two kids there that were the voices of Stanford radio, and they were talking to themselves, self-congratulating themselves, and they were saying, Stanford graduates rule the world. They're saying that we're the greatest university in the world. Stanford graduates, the best of it. And Cindy just put her hand on my arm. She goes, Rich, don't do it. I said, don't worry. She took her hand off. I turned around to those guys. I said, you know what? The biggest pussies I've ever met are Stanford graduates. And there are two of them sitting on this bus right now, congratulating each other how awesome you are. What have you done in your life? Tell me about it, right? Pretty kids, rich kids, tell me what you've done in your life. What have you accomplished? You built great marriages, great families. You built any companies. You changed the lives of thousands. Wait, no, you haven't done any of that. And you're all congratulating yourself like you're on top of the heap. You proved nothing. I can hardly wait till you graduate and you step out in the real world and nobody gives a rat. In fact, I hope I end up across from you in a negotiating table someday, right? Because I'll look at you like you're a buffet. And Cindy said, that may not have been your most Christian moment. I know, but I just can't stand these people, right? These silver spoon folks who think they got it. That all they got to do is show up. And they got this piece of paper with their name on it and they went to this school. That somebody else paid for it. You know, and we worked hard with our children not to let them get that mentality. I remember there's a little moment, just a little window when my daughter started to get a little prideful about the things she had and the clothes she wore. And I heard her talking to a friend about this girl that only seemed to have 2 sets of clothes, and she'd wear them on alternate days. And she was kind of making fun that this girl didn't have much to wear. And wow, that doesn't sit well with me. So I took her by the arm. I said, okay, sweetheart, we're going to take a little walk. And we went into her closet and I said, pick your 2 favorite outfits. Lay them on your bed. Lay them on your bed. Now I want you to picture you wearing those every other day for the rest of the school year. And you should be grateful that you have them and that they're clean. Much less you got a closet full of stuff. And when you're kind of done with them, we give them to somebody else who gets to wear them and feel good about them while you get something new. And you know how much of this you've earned, sweetheart? You know I love you with all my heart, and I'd give my life for you. But I'm not going to put up with this. You know how much of this you've earned? Not a dang thing. You've not won 1 dime. You are an expense. You're a freaking expense to your mother and I, economically. You understand that? That girl doesn't have what you have, doesn't have parents that have been fortunate the way your parents have been fortunate. But you know how much she deserves that? About as much as you deserve what you're getting from us. She probably deserves better. So, I'm either going to see that, what I just saw, never again, or you're going to get the experience of having 2 sets of clothes for the rest of the year. She said, Daddy, you're right, and I'm sorry. And she was great, and we never saw it again. But guys, you can't, as things start to change in your life, you've got to make sure that your prosperity doesn't screw them up, right? Because there's a real risk to that too. Now, back to being a victim. I'm trying to give you, look, there's some of you in here sitting here right now saying, man, I want to be a victim, right? Coach me, Rich. Coach me on how to be a victim. So I'm going to keep going here, all right? So remember, we left off. I didn't go to a college, right? Or you didn't go to a good college, right? Okay, I got it. You didn't get good grades if you did go to school. Or I got low test scores, right? My parents didn't love me. Or they didn't love me enough. Or they loved me intermittently. I'm not pretty. I'm not handsome. Whatever. I weigh too much. I'm Latino. I'm black, I'm Asian, I'm Caucasian, and that's why I'm not winning. Or, I'm not Latino, I'm not black, I'm not Asian, I'm not Caucasian, and that's why I'm not winning. All you got to do is have the wrong attitude, you guys, and you can turn anything you got into your problem. Isn't that right? See, that's the one thing you can't overcome. You can overcome your circumstances. You can overcome learning this stuff. You can overcome getting a license. You can overcome learning how to talk to people. You can learn how to do a meeting, how to do a follow-up interview. You can learn all to do this stuff. You don't know how to dress yourself? We'll show you how to dress yourself. The fact of the matter is, the one thing you can't overcome is a bad attitude. All right? If you decide to be a victim, that's all you got. And you ought to be neutered or spayed at that point, because we don't want you to have children, because you're just going to pass it on to them. All right? And what a burden that's going to be. Well, let's go back to being a victim. We need some more excuses. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm middle-aged. Figure out whatever else you got. I'm tired. I never get any breaks. My leader doesn't call me. Some of you are using that one. I know you are. My family, my friends make fun of me. Now Rich is making fun of me. I'm too short. I'm too tall. I'm not smart. I'm not cool. I smell. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about any of that stuff. Nobody cares. That doesn't mean we don't care about you or the things you've got to wrestle with. We don't care about any of that stuff in relation to you. Man, all our vision is trained forward about where we're going, not where we've been. Man, I'm sweating in my eyes. I love this stuff. Here's what they do care about. You know what people care about? Are you honest? Are you trustworthy? Can I count on you? Right? Do you care about me? Are you willing to teach? Are you willing to help? That's what people care about. They don't care about any of that other stuff. I don't really care about any of that stuff too. How many of you submitted a resume when you submitted your AMA? Did we ask you for a resume? Did we ask what grades you got in school? Do you remember how much some of you used to worry about grades in school? Seriously, did you ever worry about grades in school? Sure, I did. The dreaded letter. And there were always those guys that would, when the report cards came out, they'd come up to you and they go, what'd you get in English? What'd you get in English? Those are the guys got the A's. Screw them, right? They just want to tell you they got an A, right? And they know you didn't, and so they think this is a great conversation to have. Now you might have a good friend saying, how'd you do in English, man? Did you make it? Yeah, I made it. Good for you, man. All right, we can get out of here. Like Tommy Boy, if you ever saw that movie, where he runs in, he goes, D+, I passed, right? If you haven't seen that movie, you got to watch it. It's a classic. I passed. But you worried about those grades, and then you graduated, and nobody ever talked to you about it again. You had to bring it up in order for it to happen. Is that crazy? Remember I said about not sweating? I'm loving this. This feels great. Turn it up. Turn on the heat. Let's see who's really tough. Fire this sucker up. I want it 120. I want us to pass it out. We'll just carry you out there, pour some water on you, then bring you back in. See what you got. Come on. Stop worrying about all that other stuff. You see, the fun thing about grades, like those Stanford punks, is they graduate from school, and you know what? Nobody cares from then on. Because you know what your report card is at that point? Your financial statement. See, a lot of us, certainly Cindy and I, we're getting D's and F on that report card. And we wanted to change it. We wanted to change it. So I want you to want to make money. I want you to be in the right way with the proper balance, money hungry. Because I believe in what most of you are going to do with the blessings of prosperity. But I just want you to let go of that kind of thinking that makes people victims. I'm not talking to you as someone running for office. I'm not talking to you as someone who has a political viewpoint. That's got nothing to do with nothing around here. All we're talking about is building better lives and taking that better life into the lives of people we care about and that same transformation. Because while I'm excited about this theme and I'm excited about what this means for us here today and tonight and tomorrow, I'm excited about your thoughts about transformation. I'm excited to watch those buttons. I love those buttons. It might be my favorite button in the history of my time in the business, to see that butterfly, right? And I look at that and I think about what it really means and what it can mean. But it's so much more than you and me here today. Because if we get this right, lives will continue to be transformed after we are gone. And that's the whole idea of being here. Just strive to be the best you can be every day and then do it again. You fall short, don't worry about it. Go to bed. Go to sleep. Let it go. Sing that song, right? That they sing in Frozen. Let it go. Let it go. Cold never bothered me anyway, right? They're right around here is where they came up with that stuff, right? But I also love that other one with Taylor Swift. Shake it off. Shake it off, right? She's found out in the process of becoming a great entertainer and one of the top in her field that she took a lot of heat and a lot of criticism, and people made fun of her, and she was just a girl. And she had to learn how to be tough or she was going to fold. But she didn't go into drugs or any other kind of substance abuse or become bitter. She kind of just held on to her attitude and her spirit. That's why I felt okay spending $500 million or whatever I spent in those tickets to see her with my girls, and they're all knocking out the tunes, and I'm just staring at them, shaking my head, having a sense of wonder how they know every word to all these songs. And I just got such a thrill out of it. I looked at that stadium. Then Cindy said in the news, hey, Taylor Swift just had 80,000 people watching her in Dublin, Ireland. What an amazing thing. But she doesn't have any harsh words for anybody. She's not talking about politics. She knows that when people get together, we're all diverse and all this stuff, but we just love the entertainment. It's nice having a safe space where there's some peace of mind, where people aren't beating on each other. Well, that's going to be the kind of place we continue to create. Oh, gosh. Seriously, I'm back to feeling I wish I had 2 days to get my hands on you. And just rotor-rooty your brain and about your system and the machine and all of that stuff. Oh, that's good. That's really good. No, they're probably not emotionally prepared for that. Let's see. Over here, over there. Okay, all right, we'll do that. Be a builder of people, not a destroyer. Now, you'd think to yourself, most of you would not look at yourself, I don't destroy people. I never destroy people. I want you to think of this in absolute terms. You're either giving or you're taking. There's really nothing in between. They say, well, there are times that I don't do much of anything one way or the other. Well, I submit to you that's taking. It's not taking a lot, but it's taking. So in your interaction with people, remember I said you've got to look at people like I look at you, that we all have the seed of greatness in us, given to us by a loving Heavenly Father, and it's up to us to what we do with it. Again, you know that changes how you'll interact with people. If you're coming up to someone who's bagging your groceries and you look at that person, you remind yourself just for that minute or two, maybe the only minute or two you're going to be involved in their lives, where your lives briefly touch and intersect. And you think to myself, that person has a seed of greatness in them, right? And I'm going to treat them that way. You ask them about themselves and what they're doing and what high school they go to or whatever the circumstances are. And you let them know you appreciate it. And thanks for the help. And you call them by their first name because the name tag's there. And you should watch my wife do this. She may be twice as good at this as I am. I mean, people greet her from all over. That she'll come through and say, well, how's that song you were writing coming along? And I'm like, what? Yeah, she just knows where. Now, did you get into nursing school? I mean, and these are people that are checking your groceries and stuff, right? Or taking your dry cleaning across a counter. And it's wonderful to watch. Be a builder of people. You live by the giving principle. The two things prominently. You got to give and you got to believe. That's one of the things you give is belief. Goodness knows we need it. We've had so many people express doubt and criticism to us. So many people. Leadership is the noblest of professions, and you're in it. So you imagine somebody who goes to work, and they're not appreciated, right? They are criticized. They're disapproved of some. There's no real support. They're not really paid very much, right? They just get it. A lot of the people around them are kind of moaning and groaning and complaining, doing some gossiping. Probably that causes us to participate in it too. It's a very contagious thing, right? We're kind of ground on, and again, not held up, not supported, not strengthened, not appreciated, and we go home. Do we bring that home with us? Do we bring it home with us, yes or no? You bet we do. It impacts how we interact with our family, our sweethearts, right? Everything we do, we feel it. We get together with friends who probably have some of the similar experiences. And you're at Buffalo Wild Wings talking about it. You know, wondering where you're going. You can't even afford to be there. But let's take a look at something else. You go someplace to work, and somebody sees you and says, Rich, it's great to see you. Man, we appreciate you. Man, we respect your hard work and your dedication to this company and what we do and what we stand for. You're an asset to this organization. We believe in you. We believe in what you're doing. We believe in where you're headed. I almost don't know how to express enough appreciation, how grateful I am and we are as a company to have you here, being a part of this, joining our vision, dreaming our dreams with us, going somewhere special, thinking big, right? Changing our stars, redirecting our families' lives for generations. Man, it's great to be working together. Do you take that home? If somebody said that to you? Yes or no? You take it home, you bet you do. Does it help your marriage? Sure has helped ours. Does it help you with your children? Sure has helped us with ours. Does it help you with your grandchildren? You bet it does. See, I want you to have a grandfather's attitude. Do you know what that is? It really should be a grandmother's attitude. You ever see it, a grandmother? You see, when our grandkids come over to our house, it's not Grandpa's house. They go, hi, Grandpa. They hug me and go, where's Grandma? Pew, right? This is Grandma's house. Cindy was talking to our daughter and our youngest granddaughter, Madison. She's 3. She's going, where's Grandma? I want to go over to Grandma's house. When is Grandma coming back, right? Because Cindy's one of her very best friends, right? And it's a wonderful thing. So I want you to have a grandpa's attitude, a grandmother's attitude. See, when we look at our grandbabies, you know what we see? Perfection. Perfection. Nobody has to ask me to see a seed of greatness in them. If they sneeze, I think, man, that's a better sneeze than I've ever seen anybody ever sneeze in my life. Right? If they'd start talking, whenever they start talking, they could be 22. I go, they're brilliant. Right? They start walking, it's unbelievable. Right? It's a standing ovation. You do this Tony Robbins thing all the time. You're glad we're not doing that right now, aren't you? Right? We'd have to hand out towels. Who was at that event, Tony Robbins? We jumped up and down for 4 freaking hours, right? Up and down, up and down. Do I got that right? You got to get the elbows up. Yes. I don't remember much of what happened in that, except this. I remember this. Cindy and I, all of a sudden, we'll look at each other and we'll just start doing this in the kitchen, right? And it's a true story. We're coming out of Home Depot, we got something, and we look at each other, we just drop it, right? And we start doing this in the parking lot. And people are staring at us. And we go, we're worth millions, and we act like idiots. It's awesome, right? Woo! Changes your life. Where was I? Grandpa's attitude, grandmother's attitude. You look at your teammates like they're your grandkids, right? They almost can do no wrong. You love on them, you love on them, and love on them. They're hurt, you love on them. They frustrate you, you love on them. That doesn't mean you don't coach them. It doesn't mean you don't get involved in their lives and challenge a few things. You do that with your children and grandchildren too. But you got to bring that same spirit. Guys, go into home and change people's lives. Go into homes and change people's lives. Bring them to your office. Recruit them. Get them onto the team and change their lives. That's what we do. You'll get better and better at it as you practice. See, in all the studying I've done, I think there are 4 basic reasons people don't reach their potential, their destiny. Here's what I think they are. 1, they don't see themselves winning. It's a tough thing. You've never won. No one in your family's ever won. They don't see themselves winning. So as a leader, as a grandpa or grandma in that context, it's easier for me to relate to that now. I couldn't have given this same talk with the same passion 30 years ago. But you got to help them just begin to get a glimmer of seeing themselves winning. Another thing, another reason that people stop short of their destiny, and this is a big one, they don't have helping people as their number one thing, as their number one priority. People who don't have helping people as their number one priority don't win big here. They don't reach their destiny. They don't fulfill their potential. So you got to help them see themselves winning, and you got to help them understand that helping people needs to be their top priority. Last one, not the last one, third one. They don't keep building others. Jeff and I were talking about this with you. We watch people get going a little bit, and then you stop doing your stopping. And Jeff was talking to the six-figure earners, the ring earners, at lunch. You just stop doing what got you there. So all you got to do is keep doing it. What work can you do where you stop doing what got you there? Man, if you're a professional athlete, you got to keep doing what got you there. You got to keep conditioning. You got to keep lifting. You got to keep practicing your sport. And that's how you stay. But then age ultimately catches you and takes you out of the game. But age doesn't take you out of the game here. You just get better and better and better. You know, you lose your first step in basketball. You lose that speed. You lose that capacity to recover from a tough match in tennis, right? In athletics. But in this business, my first step is better than it's ever been. And that's a great thing. I'm wondering, how good am I going to be when I'm 90? It's a nice feeling. It's a different vision than an employee has, isn't it? So what's the first one? First reason people don't reach their destiny? They don't see themselves winning. Come on, all of you. Second thing, what is it? They don't have helping people as their number one priority. What's the third one? They don't keep building others. Write these down and pay attention to them. Look at them in your life. If any one of them describes you, or two of them, or if they all, start fixing that. Turn it around. Here's the fourth one. And they don't keep building themselves. If you keep building yourself, you'll keep building others. You work on seeing yourself winning, right? Make that happen. And you keep as your top priority helping people, you're going to like what comes out from that. You're going to like it a lot. As Jim Carrey said, you would like it a lot. Anybody see Dumb and Dumber? The number one adolescent humor movie of all time. It gives you some insight into my soul that I saw that 4 times in the theaters. The first 3 times, all 3 times, I laughed so hard, I started to pass out. There were moments in there that are just so stupid. I almost lost control of my bodily functions. I came home from Atlanta after seeing it with friends in Atlanta, and I tried to tell Cindy about it like at 2 in the morning, and I just kept laughing my head off. When those 2 guys, one guy went pee and they're going over the mountain pass and they froze together. I mean, just, these are moments that a guy who never really got past adolescence like me cherished. Hilarious. The diarrhea stuff, hilarious. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's required watching for leadership in WFG. Okay, pay attention. All right, I'm going to give you, this will conclude our discussion together for this today. All my heroes have 7 things in common. All my heroes have 7 things going for them. And I want you to know what they are. I'm going to do this fairly quick, because I can take all day on this, but I just want you to have it. All my heroes having 7 things going for them. If you were wanted to be friends of Cindy and I, we would want you to have these 7 things. Our interaction would be better because of it. All my heroes are virtuous. They believe in moral virtue and cleanliness. And they understand that that leads to strength of character, peace of mind, peace of heart, and happiness in life. And all my heroes are virtuous and happy. Because if you do, you live right, you make good decisions, you treat people right, you will, in great measure, find happiness in your life. It doesn't mean you won't have adversity still. Life has adversity. But all my heroes are virtuous and happy. They have that understanding. 2, all my heroes are dreamers. See, I look at Jeff Levitan and I think the stuff he does with All for One, the stuff he does in dedication to his wife and his children. The Lord knew who he was sending to their home. That there was a woman there in Cam as a wife and a mother, and a husband and father there who could love and care and be dedicated to the safety and even the healing of autistic children. You know, all my heroes are virtuous that way. I look up to them that way. Number 2, again, all are dreamers. They're excited and pumped up about life. They see unlimited possibilities all around them. They see it in their business and they see it in their people. Unlimited possibilities all around them, in business and in their people. All of my heroes are dreamers. All of our heroes, number 3, are positive and optimistic. It doesn't mean every minute, right? We struggle still. But all my heroes stay positive overall and optimistic. They're positive and optimistic people. They see the good in their life. They count their blessings all the time. They're upbeat, and you know what? All my heroes smile easily. None of my heroes are stone-faced people, you know, that don't show that part. All right, they show it. They give that gift to their smile. So all my heroes are positive and optimistic people. Number 4, all my heroes have an incredible expectation of winning. You think of the major leaders here and who they are and what they stand for. And you'll find out that I have a number of heroes here in this organization. They know when the dust settles, they're going to end up on top. No matter what's going on, how crazy it is, it's going to work out. For these people, for my heroes, there is no failure. There's no failure. Just learning and growing. You run into stuff, you don't handle it just right, doesn't come out the way you want it to, you're going to handle it differently next time. And you make sure there is a next time, and a next time, and a next time, and a next time, and you handle it better and better and better, and things just work out. There is no failure, there's just a process. Just a process of learning and growing. All my heroes have an incredible expectation of winning. Number 5, all my heroes know how to make a total commitment. They can't be my hero without that. Cindy said something to me last night. She says, I'm so glad Jeff hasn't kicked back. He's so important to this organization, he and Cam. Right? His vision for what can happen in the East Coast, his vision for unifying the hierarchy, his vision for the stuff that he wants to do in the months and years ahead, the things that he wants to do in his philanthropies and giving to the world. He's fully engaged. That energy means the world. And for us who look at that, we have just this boundless respect for people who know how to make a total commitment. They have a sense of purpose in their life. They have a sense of direction in their life, like he does and Cam does. And they know how to sell out, and they know how to go all in. I'm not a poker player. Can I kind of share with some of you my feeling about gambling? I believe gambling breeds weakness. I don't mean you're goofing around a little bit with a slot machine or, right, you throw a couple bucks and you watch it disappear on a crap table or some such nonsense like that. But where you literally try and win through getting lucky, that just breeds weakness in us, right? We're not victims. We're not sitting around waiting for it to be done to us, right? Did I talk to you about being a victim? What do you mean no? Did somebody say no? I'll go back and give that to you again if you want. I'll go over, but we'll make sure that you don't be a victim, right? I'm not scratching off something on a state lottery, hoping that's how I'm going to win. Man, we're going to go recruit the next person, and then the next person, and then the next person. We're going to do a prospect list. We're going to get in the field. We're going to invite some of these people down, and we're going to build a business, right? The leaders you look up to, your heroes, you got to know they know how to go all in. That's the only thing I like about poker, is that every once in a while, and how did poker get to ESPN, by the way? I still haven't figured that out. Just exactly what part of sport is that, right? But at least a couple times I watch, because it fascinates me, the percentages. This guy's got 86% chance of winning. This guy's got 14%. And the guy shoves it all in there, and they go all in. And it's all or nothing at that point, right? That's the part I get. That's the part that I understand. All my heroes have the capacity to go all in. Number 6, they all know how to pay the price. They have an unbelievable work ethic. Unbelievable work ethic. They're mentally tough. So think about that. Let's go through them quick. What was number 1? All my heroes are what? All my heroes do what? Dream, right? Come on, all you participate. You can do this. Number 3, all my heroes are? That's right, positive and optimistic people. Number 4, what all my heroes? Credible expectation of winning. For number 5, all my heroes know how to make a total commitment. And all my heroes know how to pay the price. And number 7, the most impressive thing at all ties right back to virtue at number 1, all my heroes have their life in order. That doesn't mean any of them have it perfect. There's no such thing as perfect balance. If there is, it lasts about 3 seconds on its way to becoming slightly out of balance. Things have their seasons, right? And you've got to devote yourself to them. I wanted to be down here a little bit this morning, but my bishop responsibility jumped up in the church. I had a young sister that all of a sudden was being evicted from an apartment. I had to get her in a place where she was going to be homeless, living out of a car that she doesn't need to be living in. Beautiful girl, just struggling financially. And I had to make arrangements and call some people and call a landlord and do all that stuff, and I got more follow-up to do on that, right? And then there were some other things we had to do, right? But then I got down here. Cindy and I got down here. But you got to have your life in order. You have true success in life. You guys, true success in life and in business, you got to have your priorities in order. You're not going to be fun enough, not going to be happy enough, not going to be strong enough otherwise. You got to be committed to reasonable balance. That's why I believe it's faith, family, and business. You can't spin 100 plates, but you can spin those 3 and spin them well. Also, all my heroes, as part of having their life in order, have financial discipline. They're not big show-offs. They're not blowing money here and there. They get their act together. They stay within themselves. They understand the difference between needs and wants. They're not driven by this desire to show off and have people be impressed by the wrong things. Don't impress people with the stuff you buy. Impress them with the person, the man or woman that you are. You hear me? Impress them with the man or woman that you are. That's the only thing that'll last. That's the only thing that'll really pay off in business. And all my heroes, as part of having their life in order, have a really good marriage, and they have a good family life. When I look at that, I'm awestruck. There's so many examples of good things that way, and so many examples of people who've forgotten that. All right, but I want you to be one of my heroes. And there are a bunch of people in this room right now. When I measure you against these 7 things, I'm pretty impressed. And I want you to join us at the top in this company. It's not crowded at the top. We got lots of room. One of the truly great strengths of this company is we all start at the bottom. Jeff was a training rep. Greg Krapp was a training rep. Fredo Barber's a training rep. The Bohoviacs were training reps, and I remember when that was. I remember when Marcy was sitting in back, looking like that. Her mother dragged her to a meeting. She didn't want to go. Look at them now. I remember when Cindy and I were training reps. We all started at the bottom. The old way of saying it, we all started on the loading dock. And then we worked our way up. There are no pansies in our leadership team. Everybody had to earn it. There may be a couple of Stanford graduates we didn't weed out, but they had to start at the bottom. They had to work their way up. You come to me and say, I'm a Harvard MBA. I graduated top of my class. What contract do I get to start at? Training rep is where you get to start at. Because that degree, that may mean something in corporate America. It doesn't mean jack in the entrepreneurial world. You got to do it. You got to step up. That's probably a handicap that you have that. You think you deserve something. You already got a spirit of entitlement by asking me. So I might make double up the requirements for you just to see if you got what it takes. You guys, all of you are working your way up from the bottom. You're building something yourself. Sure, you've got some help around you. Your team's going to help lift you. But the reality is, you had to grow. You had to make these commitments. You had to step up to becoming a better person, right? You had to be willing to fight for it. And I'm proud of you for it. I love being in business with you for it. And I love you for it. Thanks for letting me hang out with you.